Energy resources near Paris could be preparing for hydraulic fracturing, also known as fracking. The practice is currently illegal in France, but that could change.
This drilling site has been operational for a few days in the eastern outskirts of Paris. It's run by US company Hess Oil, and its official mission is to look for potential energy resources. But environmentalists fear that the project really hides a different agenda: fracking. The drill can reach a depth of 3,000 meters right to the rock that encloses shale oil, oil that hasn't yet matured and that can only be accessed by breaking the rock with high-pressure liquid and sand, a method known as hydraulic fracturing or fracking. Fracking has been banned in France since 2011, and Hess Oil says it will observe the law, but NGOs are not convinced.
This is a serious drill that can go down to 3,000 meters and drill horizontally. There's an advanced platform that's equipped for fracking, and that meets the technical specs for fracking. That means everything's in place for it to happen.
Hess Oil has declined to publicly give its side of the story. At home in the US, the company is a major actor in fracking, which makes up 15% of its business. Enough reason for French authorities to keep a watchful eye on them.
Government authorities will make sure that the operator does not proceed to hydraulic fracturing. We're going to intensify controls. Since the exploration phase will last 3 months, we will go on site at least 3 times in planned or surprise visits to ensure that there's no hydraulic fracturing.
For now, fracking seems to be off the agenda, but the ban is not as solid as the government thought. France's top court, the Constitutional Council, is currently examining the legislation and could rule it to be unconstitutional. And that would be a first crack in the law that could eventually see shale oil and gas take off in France.
One of Myanmar's most famous film stars gave up the glory and set up a free funeral service. He founded an organization to help holding funeral for poor people, and now the organization cremates and buries 10,000 people every year in Yangon.
This is movie star Chow Tu. He's starred in more than 200 films and has even won a Myanmar Academy Award. His pictures are all over his office, but those glory days are long behind him. He's now better known as Mr. Funeral. In 2001, he decided he wanted to help the thousands of people left impoverished by the former military regime, so he started collecting dead bodies and paying for people's funerals.
The
cars we had were very old. It was an old pickup truck with broken lights, and we had to tie the doors shut with a rope. We had 2 trucks, but when word got out what we were doing, more people donated.
They now have a fleet of vehicles, this one reserved for people who have lived over 80 years. The society collects around 50 dead bodies every day and has taken over 132,000 people to be cremated or buried. Without the service, many wouldn't be able to afford proper funerals for their loved ones, although anyone can call for help, rich or poor.
Being an actor was good as I became famous and I earned money from it and I got lots of fans. But this helps the whole society. I prefer doing this.
The society is funded by donations from individuals and organisations and is run by 100 full-time staff and 400 volunteers. For men like Tan Tay, whose grandmother recently died, it's a great help in times of grief.
It's an important service. The free funeral service has helped many people. We don't need to pay for the expenses, and the service is very reliable. I'm very proud to have such an organization here.
Chow Tu may have given up his glamorous life in the entertainment industry, but if possible, the funeral service seems to be making him even more popular with the people of Yangon.
Italy is famous for its painting and architecture, and now students from around the world are learning the art of shoemaking from an Italian master and bringing fresh hope to an artisan trade in crisis.
Florence, a city famed for its Renaissance paintings and architecture. And in this small workshop, another art, shoemaking, is being rediscovered. with students like Bukola from Nigeria flocking to the Riachi Academy to learn the trade.
I actually always wanted to make shoes, you know, and I just thought, okay, where is the best place to learn how to make shoes? If not Italy. I've learned so much in just 6 weeks, and I can't wait to go back home and do what I've learned.
There are just 6 students in this class, yet the only Italian on the 8-week course, which costs around €5,000, is Daniele Ortolani. He'd been repairing shoes for 8 years before deciding finally to learn how to make them.
I feel a bit special, yes, unique, and I hope to pursue my career in spite of the difficulties artisans meet, at the very least in Italy.
The course is run by master cobbler Angelo Imperatrice, who learned shoemaking from his uncles. At 75 years old, he's seen the industry change dramatically, and today he bemoans Italian bureaucracy that he says is destroying the trade.
The craft is essentially dead because of all the administrative issues. Billing, for example, even for small jobs. Some shoemakers I know can't even read or write, so you can imagine when you have to declare VAT, issue invoices, so they say, no, 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 I'm quitting.
While Italians appear to be shying away from Angelo's expertise, Mashizan quit his job in television in Singapore and hopes to launch his own brand of shoes soon.
My target audience is really women, professional women who are stylish and classic and elegant. Wouldn't it be ideal to get an A-lister to wear your shoes and say, who are you wearing? And you wear a pair of Mashizans, you know.
Italy is celebrated for its leather industry, and these students will hope some of that expertise rubs off on them as they put their best foot forward and branch out on their own.
The Kasbah of Algeria has been a UNESCO World Heritage Site for 20 years. Centuries of war and natural disasters have caused it damages. Now it is threatened by neglect and decay, and efforts are underway to try to save the few remaining original homes.
Even today, the Kasbah in Algiers evokes the spirit of a 16th century port that for so long greeted European voyagers and explorers heading to Africa. But over the centuries, war and natural disasters have taken their toll. Even though it was classified a historical monument by UNESCO over 10 years ago, the Kasbah, which means citadel in Arabic, is still under serious threat. Built on a hillside that rises up 118 meters, only 1,000 of the Kasbah's original homes are still standing.
This is a site that is degraded. You can see how it is sloped, how all the houses, each one leans on the other. This is important because when a house falls, well, the rest could follow.
Even the fragile scaffolding, wood trusses and metal beams holding the buildings together threaten to collapse on the city's 52,000 inhabitants. Residents are often relocated by the state, but despite the risks, new tenants move right into the vacated homes.
Living here is a means to get money from social housing. It's a real racket. Living in the Kasbah means you can get funds to be moved elsewhere, and then can just come back and live here again.
The government recently announced a project to renovate parts of the Kasbah by purchasing vacated buildings or giving funds to residents who want to restore them. Nasreddin Mezian has been restoring the home he inherited from his parents for the last 6 months with the help of public money.
I'm just a simple worker. To be honest, not me, not anyone can take this on their own because it's such a large undertaking. I don't have the money to take something like this on.
Renovating the Kasbah's buildings is just the first step. The authorities also hope to revive the traditional handicrafts and the arts and culture that once thrived here.
And finally, for autistic children, reading the emotions of those around them is a big challenge. Animals have long been used to help such kids to open up emotionally. And now researchers in Canada are testing an interactive robot that that might be able to help in a similar way.
Dogs are known as man's best friend, and Jasper here is friendlier than most. He helps autistic children form emotional bonds, but he may just have some competition. This is the latest robotic creation from the Haptic Creature Project at the University of British Columbia. A cross between a dog, a cat, and perhaps a rabbit, it can respond to touch, purring when it's stroked and shivering when it feels ill at ease.
Kind of in the same way that people are able to communicate to each other certain things through touch, and you can imagine like your pet or your dog, it can sometimes tell a lot about the way you're feeling by the way you're touching it. So that's what we're trying to do, just get away from those biometric sensors and things that people have to wear and make it something that's standalone, and it can just tell how you're feeling by the way you're interacting with it.
While it may look basic, the researchers who've created it say it's not meant to be a simulation of an animal. The lack of facial features, for example, is intended to help users focus on touch rather than what they see.
We're trying to design the body of the creature and the interaction, the interactivity, in a way to cause you to touch it in a more interactive way, a more informative way, so that we can actually get more information out of your touch.
To achieve this, the team has designed something they call Smart Fur, a complex system of sensors that enable the animal to react to human touch. For the kids who get to use it, the idea is that it's a calming influence that can help them focus on other tasks.
It's very relaxing and it's very soft.
For now, the device remains at the experimental stage, with only 2 prototypes, meaning it may be a while before you see one in the wild.
That's all for today's program. Thank you for watching. Me, Chindola, and the rest of This is Cambodia team will see you again tomorrow. Good night.